Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And I just want to say that this is a pretty exciting time to be able to talk about Sparkhouse Digital. We're constantly uploading new things into Sparkhouse Digital, and I'm looking forward to Christmas because I'm hearing that there's some new Christmas programs that are going to be uploaded to Sparkhouse Digital. That's one of the amazing things about having an online a platform such as this, is that we can always keep it fresh with stuff that matters to you all. Who is with us today? I think it's always good to maybe talk a little bit about our experience with Sparkhouse Digital. And so I have a poll here. What is your role as it relates to Sparkhouse Digital? Are you a volunteer Christian education leader or youth leader? Are you a professional youth or Christian education leader? Are you a pastor or in some other role? And if you're in some other role, I'm always curious about that. Feel free to populate that with a comment in the questions pod. So it looks like the professionals and the volunteers are like 50-50 in this webinar. Oh, finally a pastor showed up. That's good. But yeah, it's a good mix of volunteers and professionals. And so thank you for responding to that. I'm going to put up one more poll here, if it's okay, because I think this really tells me kind of where we're at here with Sparkhouse Digital. So, what is your level of experience with Sparkhouse Digital? Are you totally new? Have you poked around a bit? Are you a secondary user, but not the primary user? And by that I mean, are you perhaps a leader and not the director? Those are two different capabilities in Sparkhouse Digital. Maybe you're comfortable but eager to learn more. And there's always tends to be a power user, although I'm not seeing one today in the mix. And I love that actually, because I love that the power users are coming in and learning a little bit more about Sparkhouse Digital or picking up something along the way that they didn't know about. In this case, most of you have poked around a bit, but there's a lot of folks that are pretty new to Sparkhouse Digital, and that's okay. This is an overview webinar. It's going to be touching on just the highlights. I am going to stick around, however, in the Q&A, especially for new subscribers or people that are wanting to use Sparkhouse Digital maybe in some fresh ways to answer some specific questions about Sparkhouse Digital. So I'm not shy to stick around beyond the initial half hour and talk about some of your particular concerns. So very good. Thank you very much. So ending this poll, I'm going to then continue on with talking about what's in Sparkhouse Digital. So the key features of this online platform are lots of stuff and more resources all the time. Because as I mentioned, this is a dynamic environment. Certainly we have our core curricula, kind of like the anchor stores of them all, but the kiosks are moving in, and there's a lot of really interesting resources that we are constantly added on a quarterly basis, really. And I'll be talking about some of the new resources that are going into Sparkhouse Digital. Continuing on, we want to also think about Sparkhouse Digital as a planning space for directors and leaders. You can even assign to leaders certain lessons on certain days by use of the calendar tool. And so it's not just a place where there's stuff to download, but it's this place where you can sort of organize your entire program. And so think about how maybe you can lean into some Sunday plans or weekday plans or Advent plans as you're putting together resources, or even things for parents. Because I've always said, if you give parents access to Sparkhouse Digital's leaders, you can maybe invite them in to find videos to look at home, or to perhaps talk about with their families. And so along the way, you might gain some people who have some skills in using Sparkhouse Digital. But it's a great place, almost like kind of a learning management system for Christian education, if you're familiar with that term. You can design your own adventure in Sparkhouse Digital, and we saw that very much so over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. Uh, People were using Sparkhouse Digitals in ways that I had never ever imagined before. For example, as I mentioned, there was a congregation down in Texas that gave all their confirmands access to Sparkhouse Digital as leaders, and they could go into the calendar and find things to do and videos to look at pertaining to an upcoming Zoom conversation. So it's just like, wow, okay, it's really great that Sparkhouse Digital can be used in such creative and adaptive ways. What's in Sparkhouse Digital? There is our core curricula, our branded curricula, like Frolic curricula based on our award-winning Frolic Bibles and board books. That's in Sparkhouse Digital. If you get the early childhood module of Sparkhouse Digital, Whirl is in Sparkhouse Digital, all iterations of Whirl that I'll talk about later. Spark Activate Faith, our curriculum that's based on various kinds of learning styles. Holy Moly, if you're not familiar with Holy Moly, we've got some exciting news about Holy Moly and Sparkhouse Digital that I'll be sharing a little bit later. Connect, which is a curricula that's related to Holy Moly. They're kind of cousins. One feeds into the other, even though they are different. But Connect for Tweens is in Sparkhouse Digital. Reform is in Sparkhouse Digital. That's that quirky curriculum that sort of approaches the pedagogy from the basis of the kind of questions kids would ask about Bible characters or theology. Collaborate, which is a problem-based learning curricula, is in Sparkhouse Digital, the youth version of Sparkhouse Digital. There's TBD for youth, Think, Believe, Do, Echo the Story for youth. And if you're familiar with the Sparkhouse Digital catalog, what's kind of nice is that there's pages in the Sparkhouse Digital catalog that separate these different curricula brands and talk about why you might want to choose to use Holy Moly, for instance. And so these are very useful pages if you really haven't figured out where you want to go in terms of your access to Sparkhouse Digital. I would recommend getting the catalog. I mean, here's a cover of our 2024 catalog. You can easily download that here if you want to scan the QR code. But you can go to wearesparkhouse.org and look under the page, under the tab Free Resources, and you'll find our catalog up there. You'll also be able to download samples of curricula or what have you. So take advantage of what's available to you in Sparkhouse Digital to maybe help you make decisions if you haven't already made them about what you want to use and why you want to use it. So I want to go back over these modules. As I said, there's three: early childhood, children, and youth, and kind of give you sort of the breadth of what's in Sparkhouse Digital. So in the early childhood module, if you want to focus on that, there's Frolic Nursery that's designed for the real littles of your congregation, 44 lessons based on Frolic board books. There's Frolic Family, which are parent-taught courses in Sparkhouse Digital, 52 parent-taught courses based on the Frolic First Bible and Frolic Preschool Bible. There's Frolic Preschool that is also has another 52 lessons. We've also folded in for the early childhood module subscribers 120 lessons of Spark Preschool and Whirl Preschool. That's a lot of material. Learner guides, coloring pages, music, video, all in Sparkhouse Digital. So that's the early childhood module. Probably the most robust module in Sparkhouse Digital is the children's module. You've got 4 versions of Spark Activate Faith. You've got a classroom version that has a 2-year scope and sequence that starts in Genesis and moves into the New Testament each year, a kind of a traditional Sunday school format. You've got a lectionary 3-year scope and sequence for Spark. You've got rotation that allows you to use Spark lessons, the Spark Bibles, as if you were in kind of a VBS kind of mode, but you can do it year round if you want. And there's also an all kids version of Spark. That's a one-room schoolhouse version of Spark. That's 343 lessons in Sparkhouse Digital, just related to the Spark Activate Faith curricula. Whirl, which originally started as a lectionary based curricula and has a lot of great tools that connect church and worship, has also been released as a classroom version and an all kids version, 367 lessons all told. Holy Moly is a kind of clever, quirky, video-based curriculum that doesn't have a lot of narration in the videos, which inspires kids to try to figure out what's happening as God is showing up in the videos by way of really unique colorization and just funny, clever animation. And then there's Connect. I sometimes think of Connect as the Monty Python of tween curricula, just because I think of those videos and how those videos are created. But there's 50 lessons in the tween curricula called Connect. That's all in the children's module. If you want to look at what's in the youth module, you actually have even more, not as many lessons, but more curricula. You've got that problem-based Collaborate confirmation. There's a Bible version of Collaborate where you study the Bible. There's a Methodist version of Collaborate, the Presbyterian version of Collaborate, and a Lutheran version of Collaborate, all of which enable you to tailor confirmation programs in numerous faith formation settings. There's Reform. There's 40 lessons of core confirmation Reform, 12 in Traditions. And if you're not familiar with Traditions, Traditions is actually 3 mini courses, one based on the Methodist tradition, another based on the Reformed tradition, another based on the Lutheran tradition, each with 4 videos and course supporting course material. And then you'll have Ancestors, which is our Reformed Old Testament and New Testament studies, 15 Old Testament characters and 15 New Testament characters. For those of you who are familiar with Lutheran confirmation, you might know of Here We Stand. That used to have a separate website, but now that's been folded into Sparkhouse Digital. There's Echo the Story, which encourages teens to literally echo the story of the Bible in their lives. There's a 12 a month version and a 36-month version of Echo the Story. And there's Think, Believe, and Do with really, really great focuses on specific topics like sin and prayer and salvation and Bible. And then we also put the Connect Tween curriculum in the youth module. So there's some overflow there between the different modules where we know that there's going to be situations where they want to bridge those modules. All right, so what's included in Sparkhouse Digital? There's leader support. You never have to worry about where the leader guide is coming from. You give all your teachers access as leaders to Sparkhouse Digital, and they can get their own stuff. And when I mean all your teachers, there's no limit to how many people that you can add as directors and leaders in Sparkhouse Digital. You just need to be careful because directors are the only ones who can add things to the calendar and make plans. All right, so leaders can go in there and download anything they want, but they can't really change up the director's planning, which I think is a good idea. There's also multimedia, lots of multimedia in Sparkhouse Digital. I actually spent some time counting how many animated videos are in Sparkhouse Digital, and survey says lots. You'll see that in a second. There's also downloadable music in Sparkhouse Digital, not just the sheet music, but MP3s that have only instrumental, MP3s that have instrumental and singing, and PowerPoints that support the various songs in Sparkhouse Digital. You can download all of this with your subscription to Sparkhouse Digital. The videos, 560 animated videos. That's a lot. That's a lot of animated videos. And so we just really feel that your license to use this video that you have this by way of your subscription will go a long ways in serving the life of your congregation and your kids. Um, Moving on, there's a lot of reproducible extras in Sparkhouse Digital, including coloring pages. There's family. Excuse me. Kind of getting ahead of myself. There's children's bulletins that you can download and reproduce and use in the service in Sparkhouse Digital, and now the family pages that you can have the kids take home, all of which are downloadable in Sparkhouse Digital. There are additional resources and bonus content is a key word because it's really the bonus content areas that have really been exploded out with new resources and just this year reorganized, as I'll show you. Some of you may not have looked at this that carefully, but trust me, that's where a lot of the new content goes, is in the bonus content area. So what's an example of some of this? Well, here are the tiles when you click onto bonus content. There's leader support materials, holiday event materials. There's these really clever digital activity kits that we use during COVID for hybrid learning, but you could really use anytime. Art activities, the at the movies activities brings current movies into the faith formation space and provides opportunities to talk about these movies. There's Bible reading guides, various books. We have a imprint called Beaming Books that produces a lot of great books for kids. Well, some of those books you can kind of unpack through book reading guides. There's new children's church activities. So for those of you who are using the lectionary, you might want to dive into those children's church activities, especially if you pull your kids out during the time of the sermon, because it's sort of mini sessions that relate to the lesson of the day, tied into the lectionary, but it allows kids to kind of unpack those readings on their own. And it could be during the sermon if you do a children's church kind of thing and pull kids out, or those lessons could be used at any time, I suppose, on that day. There's children's messages available to you in Sparkhouse Digital, as well as a lot of great family activities and large motor kind of activities. Those are all under the bonus content units. And like I say, I do a webinar every quarter that talks about what's new in Sparkhouse Digital, and a lot of the new stuff that's going into Sparkhouse Digital goes into this area called bonus content. So don't neglect that. I know the core curricula kind of stands out because that's a design curricula that you would be maybe using Sunday after Sunday, but the bonus content should be something you explore. There's standalone content also in Sparkhouse Digital. By standalone, I mean you don't need any other resources to do it. It should be said, I suppose, at this point that most of our curricula does have consumable pieces like handbooks or leaflets, because many of these pieces have are bound books or have perforations or stickers or what have you. A lot of those consumable learner pieces are still pieces you'll want to order to get the full experience of the curricula. But there are digital only resources that you don't need anything else, and that's in Sparkhouse Digital. An example of that is our 2 intergenerational courses. There's 12 sessions in each. They were designed to be used during the summer as sort of a VBS alternative, an intergenerational VBS alternative. But I looked at that Good Stewards Together content, and I thought, man, this is like a stewardship program. This would be great resources to pull people together, maybe even in the fall. There's Renew VBS, which is our environmental friendly green VBS, and many people have used that year after year. And there's a unique curricula for youth called Wholeness and Holiness that is a fresh look at the book of Leviticus, of all things, and really talking about what it means to be set apart for God. Those are all curricula that you can use kind of as is right out of Sparkhouse Digital. For those of you who are interested in the early childhood module, Sparkhouse Digital offers something that's kind of a 21st century cradle roll. I don't know if you remember sending out postcards and uh, putting stamps on letters that go out to families to remind them of their baptisms and to transition between birth and Sunday school. Well, there's a digital version of that that goes out in Sparkhouse Digital where you can actually put the name and a birth date of a child, and they receive personalized, age appropriate, seasonally appropriate resources. And it's not just the child's immediate family, but you can set it up to 5 emails. So maybe if mom and dad aren't together, they can both get it, or grandparents or other caregivers. So that's kind of a cool feature of the early childhood module of Sparkhouse Digital. And I said it before, I'll say it again, quarterly uploads, new stuff going into Sparkhouse Digital all the time. What's new for fall of 2024? We've got some Bible liturgies, which would be great for use in Rally Day celebrations, celebration of a Bible stories liturgy with a children's message also that's connected to that liturgy, a blessing of the Bibles, and just, check them out because it's bound to serve you if you hand out Bibles or if you have rally days. These resources could be very useful. I mentioned the children's messages, new for fall through the 17th Sunday after Pentecost, through Christ the King Sunday, children's messages. Through the 16th Sunday after Pentecost, through Christ the King Sunday, there's also children's church activities. So all that you can find in the bonus area of Sparkhouse Digital. There's new games for all ages, 5 new games for fall for all ages, group sizes, and energy levels. And there's kind of a cool event, an intergenerational college care package event. I don't know if you pack college care packages, but you might want to check that out. All right, I'm going to stop and look at I see some specific questions that I will be happy to answer, Becca, during the Q&A of this session. So yeah, I see the questions and I will get to them, Becca. All right, so what is kind of exciting for subscribers of Sparkhouse Digital this year? Well, it's this. We have reformatted and set up all of our Holy Moly videos. Not videos, our Holy Moly leaflets uh, for your download and reproduction is whichever ones you want, how many of them you want. It took a bit to get them, I guess, printer ready, if you will. But we decided, since so many people were asking about leaflets in Sparkhouse Digital, that we would start with Holy Moly. And so Holy Moly leaflets are now available for download out of Sparkhouse Digital. So those of you who are familiar with that curricula, that's probably pretty exciting because you knew that you were going to have to order those leaflets, but now you can print them locally. You have the permission, the rights to print them locally. All right, so I'm going to go live onto Sparkhouse Digital right now, and I'm going to demonstrate some items. I know we only have a few more minutes to go, but so there are some specifics that people are asking that I want to touch on. If you have gone into Sparkhouse Digital and you're interested in some of those new resources that I was looking at, hopefully you can see that my screen has changed. A lot of that is, as I said, in the bonus content area. So make sure you check out the bonus content area. Maybe under leader support, you're looking for Bible liturgies. Those Bible liturgies that I talked about for Rally Day, they're under leader support. So definitely either use the search engine or use or just click around and have fun with it. But you don't want to ignore the great resources that are in the bonus area of Sparkhouse Digital. At the movies, for example, takes a look at some of the movies that kids are seeing, are interested in, and then you can do 2 things. You can, well, actually more than 2 things. You can decide to download all of these movies. You can decide to download just one of the movies. You can assign a movie to a day in the calendar, and you can do this with all the resources at Sparkhouse Digital. This is just an example. So if let's say we want to see Ron's Gone Wrong on September 1st, we can add that to the calendar. And then you can also, if you want to preview a particular item, and all these functions are the same for everything in Sparkhouse Digital, you can preview an item and see what exactly the um, the guide for Ron's Gone Wrong includes. And there's 3 pages of it. So you go and click through the various pages. You can read through the various pages. You kind of use I use my control up and plus minus key to make things larger or smaller if you can't read it. But all that is available in Sparkhouse Digital. And something that's kind of unique, especially if you use Here We Stand, is you can see what kind of file it is. Because many of the files in Here We Stand are RTFs, which means that you can download them and edit them for local use if you so choose. So there's all kinds of different files in Sparkhouse Digital. All right, so do you have, I'm just reading through here, do you have any tips for printing leader or learner files? I do have some tips, I suppose, because the Holy Moly learner leaflets are available. Let's go to Holy Moly and go in here, explore. So now I'm in Holy Moly. Explore always gets you deeper. So I'm exploring Holy Moly, and now I'm exploring year 1, unit 1 of Holy Moly. And now these are all the lessons in year 1, unit 1 of Holy Moly. And Abraham, if I click another arrow and go deeper, I will see a number of items. So I'm in the grades K through 2 version of Holy Moly that touches on the story of Abraham. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, and we've added these because we know that people are now downloading resources from, these leaflets from Sparkhouse Digital, check out the Leaflet Essentials, because that's a really important document that helps you figure out how to get the most out of the leaflets you're downloading, including, notice how every lesson has a different way of maybe folding the leaflets and interacting with the leaflets. So it's good to know that ahead of time. Say, how are we using these leaflets on any particular day? Well, it's good to get that figured out, because that's a big part of Holy Moly. It'll talk about the supplies in Holy Moly, and one item here, and you may not be able to see it. I wonder if I can increase it for you. I'm using my Control Plus. All leaflets must be printed in 11 by 17 paper. Copier paper can be used where regular paper is suggested, but there's times, given the activity, that a heavier weight of paper might be preferable, and that's why it's been so difficult for us to just transfer leaflets to Sparkhouse Digital, because you really have to think through all of this in terms of what kind of experience your kids want. We have when we built our leaflets, but now that you're printing them yourself, you need to kind of pay attention to some of these items. So that's the big tip that I would say is go to this Leaflet Essentials document, and maybe that'll show you a little bit more of how to get the most out of your downloads of Holy Moly resources. I mean, just simply to download a leaflet, all you need to do is hit the download button, and it appears in your tray. And I usually like to open it with Adobe. And so I then will open it here, if you can see it here, and then I'll print it from here. Why do I do that? Well, because I get some printing options in Adobe, like a fit to page or shrink oversized resources. Don't forget to choose portrait versus landscape. So, I mean, these are all related to your particular programs that are available to you. But I just like to open these PDFs in Adobe to get the most tools that are available. So that's, I suppose, another tip that I would give. Okay, I'm going to look at some more questions. They can be printed back to back, and in many cases the leaflets should be printed back to back. but that's a function of your local printer. Laura says, I want to play the world videos on our TV in our Sunday school room. Well, and that's, you certainly have the permission to do that. I guess the one thing we do ask is that in regard to any of these resources, that you remember that your subscription is a license to use the material. And so you paid to use the material. Please don't just put it out there on YouTube. If you're going to use the material in any kind of digital way, you can download it into OneDrive or into maybe a private YouTube account, but certainly don't consider this to be public, because that's really something that's not a part of your subscription. Your license is for local use, and keep it local use behind various paywalls if necessary, or paywalls, password walls if necessary. But yes, you can download them. You can put them on jump drives, put them on your TV. If you've got a strong enough connection, here's the in beginning video. You can stream them, as I'm about to do right now. It's I suppose if you have a connection to your that way, so you can stream them right out of uh, Sparkhouse Digital. But those are just some of the various ways, I suppose, Laura, that people are doing it. Jennifer's asking me about the value of using Sparkhouse Digital. Like, for example, you can buy many of these resources, but you won't be able to, as individual resources like DVDs or what have you. Um, but certainly you won't have the opportunity, as I'm about to show, because there's a question about it, of giving leaders access. Like, for example, add new leader here. You can add as many as you want. Add new leader. You simply add them, my first name, last name, email. I would apply, just use a generic password, because you don't want to get in all kinds of password. I mean, this isn't your bank account, right? So I just keep it simple for your group, maybe just your church street address or something like that. But then you can give people access to, an entire bank of curricula, or you can give them access to just specific things. I just want them to see ages 2, 3, and pre-K and K. Now, here's where you can make a choice. Do you want to make them a leader, or do you want to make them a director? Directors can use the planner and can add things to the calendar. Leaders can't. All leaders can do is go to the calendar. Let's do that. Go to the calendar. I'm going to go to September. And I'm going to look at, let's see, September. Ron's Gone Wrong. Do you remember that we put Ron's Gone Wrong, that video sheet, that at the movie sheet on September 1st? No Sunday school, but we'll show a video. I don't know. But what's brilliant about this is, if you've got your leaders here, maybe everybody else is gone for Labor Day, but you've got a few people around here that you can assign this particular resource to. So you can connect leaders to days, to resources, to lessons, and so they can constantly be aware of, okay, check the calendar, it's such and such a Sunday, I'm on, I'm not on, this is a lesson I need to get or not. And so you can definitely use the calendar and the leaders and directors to do that. One of the other things I like doing over my account is downloads and see if my leaders are downloading the resources they need. So you can check that out. You can see, they've downloaded resources. So, you never have to worry about who's got the leader guide. You can always count on leaders, being having access to resources. And another huge advantage is that you get access to everything. I mean, it's not just one curricula, but if you're a subscriber to Sparkhouse Digital, a children's module, you get access to all of this curricula. All right, so that would be a huge, I think, advantage. Um, Feedback from smaller churches. I think smaller churches can really benefit from Sparkhouse Digital. Those folks are going online. They're spending tons of time just finding some little thing that'll work, and they know they're not going to be able to do an entire lesson, so they may have to pick and choose from a lesson of a variety of resources. And so they could go into Holy Moly. Let's go into Holy Moly again. Let's go into fall, and let's just say under Rebecca and Isaac, we're just gonna look at do the family page and the video and a coloring page, and that's all we're gonna do. You know, so you can make the choices that way. So I think it just really is super beneficial and time saving for smaller churches to get what they want um, in the way that they do it. Yeah. And so you're not getting leaflets for a whole season because maybe you don't have Sunday school a particular Sunday. The kids aren't there. But if you say, oh, I got 3 kids in church on Sunday, you can actually go in that day and download some things out of Sparkhouse Digital that you can use that day. Remind me best resources. I idea gathering place to get ideas for brief children's message. Okay, yeah, yeah. So if you want that, I would definitely go to back to the main page, go to children's bonus content, and check children's church activities or children's lessons. Now that said, Whirl in particular um, has its own set of children's lessons. So if I go to Whirl Lectionary, and I go down to here, you've got all the world worship bulletins. Uh, I mean, just, I mean, scads of worship bulletins that you can download and use perhaps for children's lessons. Oh, I mean, it's a zip file. There's just so many. It's a zip file. I'm not going to do that right now, but Whirl in the leader guides has children's lessons too for a particular day. So you go to Whirl and you go into the director tools, uh, you can find in the leader guides, you can find resources that will help you to do children's lessons, especially as related to the world resources. And one of the fun things I haven't mentioned yet about Whirl and um, uh, and Spark in particular is the music. So here's all the music for related to Whirl. And so if you pick one of these, you will get MP3 instrumental, MP3 lyrics. You'll get a score with guitar notes, and you can also download, as I mentioned earlier, the PowerPoint, and that gives you something to project. So super, super cool. Leader management page. Somebody is asking about. It's under my account and under leaders. Add new leader. All right, so Spark Lectionary does not have videos of the stories. Spark was never designed to be a video curricula. And in fact, which is really interesting, especially after COVID and all these kids in front of screens, Spark is experiencing a real resurgence because even though it's kind of our flagship curricula and maybe not as uh, what should I say, screen based as the other curricula, people are kind of really liking those different interactions that Spark supplies. So no, there's not videos in Spark Lectionary, but there's some incredible Bibles. I don't know if you've ever seen um, the Spark Story Bible. It's amazing. Yeah, Heidi says we've intentionally chose a curriculum that wasn't screen based for exactly that reason. Yep, yep. Yeah, and honestly, like I said, Robin, people are doing that. They are MacGyvering Sparkhouse Digital like crazy too. So, for example, if you're seeing my screen, and my favorite example is Bartimaeus. If you want to do a lesson in Bartimaeus, just put in the search tab and search what's in there. 4 pages of content related to Bartimaeus. Each page has about 25 items. So yeah, you could put together something very unique that's not related to necessarily Spark or Holy Moly or Whirl, and do kind of your own Bartimaeus thing. So yeah, that's the use of Spark Early Childhood for preschool settings. There is a sliding scale, and I don't know if you've looked at the sliding scale, but I don't know exactly where it maxes out. But the way the sliding scale works is that it's based on the number of kids you're serving in a given week. Um, so probably if you're serving 100 kids, you would go to wearesparkhouse.org, and you would go down and see where the slider fits for those that kids that you serve during a week, not monthly, during a week. So I'm not sure exactly how you would parse that out, but just the basis is how many do you serve in a week, and that's what your sliding scale is. I don't know if that helps you, Jennifer. But yeah, all right. Well, we've gone through quite a bit here. Um, About pricing, okay, what more can I say about pricing? Maybe I'll just go ahead and go to um, uh, this is wearesparkhouse.org. This is our regular Sparkhouse page. Wearesparkhouse.org is also where you find more webinars, where you can see webinars that I've created and put on demand. Um, so So here's the webinar pages in the Sparkhouse, wearesparkhouse.org. And here are the basic training, Sparkhouse Digital Director Training webinars you might want to take a look at, all on demand on Sparkhouse Digital. Free resources are available on Sparkhouse Digital, including catalogs. You can see our latest catalog that I mentioned and download that. Um, so there's a lot of great things to be had here on our wearesparkhouse.org website. Now, one of the things that you might want to consider is under each of the curricula. Let's go to Whirl. Under each of the curricula, we'll go to Whirl Lectionary. There's an opportunity to download free samples. But as I go here, you can see that you can download free samples from all of these curricula and download various things like scope and sequence and an example of director guide, et cetera, et cetera. This is a really great place to go if you're not quite sure what you want to use yet, and you want to see samples of all the various curricula options. Now, Sparkhouse Digital is the page dedicated to Sparkhouse Digital. You can subscribe now or get a that's happening. Our free Bible shipping promotion through mid-September, FYI. But if you scroll down here to the very bottom of Sparkhouse Digital, you'll see the pricing. So for those who are interested in pricing and figuring out how much it's going to cost you, you figure it out on the basis of the number of kids you serve in an average week, not the total number of kids in your program, total number of kids in your congregation, but the number of kids you serve in any given week. So that's what these numbers are. And for early childhood, 51 plus, that's basically what you're looking at annually for or the early childhood module of Sparkhouse Digital. For over 100 kids and children's, boy, if Lord give us, these kids to serve, right? So there you go, top end. But again, if you were to add all those resources up, Sparkhouse Digital is still an incredible deal compared to buying the physical copies. Yeah. Okay. I'll answer one more question. Yes, you can preview everything without downloading. So I'm back on Bartimaeus. I'm going to go in Bartimaeus Sees, which is a lesson. I'm going to go in the grades 1, 2, and see this preview thing here. You can literally preview every single thing by way of that eyeball in Sparkhouse Digital. All right. Well, God's blessings to you, and I'm God's blessings on your new season of faith formation. Hopefully, we can be of help for you in all of this. That's what we're here for, and just really, just really hope you have a great year. So thank you very much for attending the webinar, and I'll try to get a recording to you all within a reasonable time here. It's a busy season here, also at Sparkhouse. All right, you all take care. Bye bye.